we're hiring creators and we are creators ourselves. So we see both sides of it. And like we've worked with some of our larger partners, sometimes the creative that gets developed, it takes so long on their end to pass through to go across all the tables of approvals. By the time they sign off on anything, it's done. You've missed the window, the moment in time.
Brands, I'm speaking to you, like listen and at least trust some of these creative people that are talking to you, because those are the people that might have these perspectives that they're unlocking something different for you. And I will say to brands, less cooks in the kitchen. We do not need 15 cooks to create an amazing steak.
This is Creator, the podcast from Matador Network. I'm your host, Ross Borden, and I believe creators are the future of all global advertising. So join me as I sit down with top creators to hear about how they got started, the challenges they've overcome, and the tips you need to become a full-time creator. All right, welcome back to Creator, the podcast. I'm your host, Ross Borden. Today we have Wade, Holland, and Abby Wren on the podcast. Known as the Stoke King, Wade has over 380,000 followers across platforms. He makes high energy content about outdoor adventures and extreme sports. His partner, Abby, has over 500,000 followers across Instagram and TikTok, and a whopping almost 500,000 subscribers on YouTube. As a makeup artist, Abby is known for her viral makeup transformations and uses her platform to advocate for alopecia awareness and spread the message that different is dope. Together, they run a creative media house called Renegade Media with a W. Abby, Wade, welcome. How are you guys?
Man, thank you for having us. We're stoked to be here today.
Yeah, rad intro, man. I'm getting me hyped just off that. Let's go.
So where are you guys right now?
We're in the Sonoran Desert. We actually just moved out to the Sonoran Desert from Los Angeles. We spent the past 7-8 years in LA, but yeah, we're in the desert now, man. We're desert folk now.
That sounds remote. Are you guys like out in the real, like where in the Sonoran Desert are you?
We're like 5 minutes from Saguaro National Park. So looking out the window, I see a ton of saguaro cactuses because the national park's like right there. And it was a huge mission for us to kind of move further into nature so we could kind of build this next chapter of what we want to do. And just being a really inspiring, creative place. And the Sonoran Desert, for many reasons, is such an inspiring spot.
We've worked with you guys at Matador quite a bit on a bunch of different brand projects. You guys are definitely very unique and always a lot of fun and hyper creative to work with. So, you know, I always loved the chances we've gotten to work with you guys. But for folks who don't know you, I want to hear the love story when you guys met, and also like the creative story when you guys teamed up as creators, and kind of the evolution you've had from creators on your own paths to founding this creative studio, Renegade. Would love to get the cliff notes on the whole story.
I'll let Wade jump into telling the story of how we met first, because he initiated the whole thing, so he's got to tell it.
Yeah, it's definitely a wild creative love affair for sure. Like Abby and I originally both are from Montana, but we did not know each other when we were in Montana, which to start off is kind of wild because there's not a lot of like non-Montanans who like go out. Most Montanans like stay in Montana. So like Montanans that leave out into the world. And then we just happened to have met. So Abby was going to makeup artistry school up in Vancouver, British Columbia. I had got booked to host this kind of adventure project up in Victoria, BC on Vancouver Island. I'm a big proponent of like meeting other people and creating on the fly, whether it is like romantic or not. I just love meeting other creative people. And I saw Abby's artwork and I'm like, oh my God. And if you've ever seen Abby's artwork, instantly you're like totally captivated. She is like no other artist I had ever seen, right? Like she has this really unique way of turning her whole head and her face into this wild art. And so I was like, I got to know who this person is. So I totally hit her with a DM and it was like, hey, I'm I think like your picture says you're up in Vancouver. I think I'm across the water from you. This is really random. I'm totally coming in hot, but I would love to just meet you. If you're down to like get coffee, I will try to make this work. So the next day I was like, I got 24 hours in this project that I got to try to get over and see Abby. I'll just get on the ferry. I'll meet this girl. It'll be fine. and ferry wasn't running that day. So then I'm like, okay, I got to figure out another means of transportation because you're going from Vancouver Island to Vancouver, which is just like a little, little water passage. So ferry wasn't running. I was like, I'll book the little, prop planes to hop over. Totally booked up. So my transportation options were getting more and more like limited by the minute.
Jumped in a kayak.
I thought about it, man. I thought about it. I was like, do I swim? Do I kayak? What am I doing? And I saw there was this like private helicopter that was like taking private trips over from this pad. And I'm like, well, it looks like you can book a flight, but super expensive. I'm like, I can't afford to get this private helicopter. But I was like, you know what? One thing I'm really good at is finding like side doors and getting creative with how to find a way. So I had my camera with me. So I went up to these guys and on the fly was like, hey, this is probably very left field, but I'm trying to go meet this girl. Pulled up Abby's Instagram, was like, this is who she is. She's super epic. I'm not bullshitting you. This is who I want to go meet. If you let me get on your helicopter, I'll make you like a short Instagram video about this experience, and you guys can use it to market this helicopter company. And I was like, I don't even know if you want to market this experience, but like, it's my one shot if you can help me out. And they just laughed. They were like, this is hilarious. Like, we've never had anyone pitch us this. But I think they were just amused and entertained by the idea of someone coming up and doing that they said, jump on, man. Like, this is a cool story. We're here to help you do it. So jumped on the helicopter. And the cool thing is like all that footage from that day, it was like me vlogging it. I was like, hey, I'm going to meet this girl. I had no idea who Abby really was. It was just kind of a fun adventure to see what this could turn into. Now we look back at it and I'm like, that is so wild. Like, that ended up being my wife. We're here now on this podcast talking to you, and Abby's in the other room recording this. We live in this place we bought. Like, it's just a crazy how that one little moment of me being like, I'm going to pitch this helicopter company to go meet this girl. And then that spawned kind of like, I would say it kickstarted my career and kickstarted so much of what we do together.
Wow, that's quite a story. You guys got to go, when you go back to Vancouver Island, you got to find those pilots and buy them a beer because they're the reason that you guys are together.
For me, it's like the most Wade thing ever because that
is
like,
a very Wade thing to do. I love it. All of this is very Wade.
Yeah, this is just who he is. It's like, it's wild being his partner because that's how it's how he is online, of course, and in all of his content, but it's just how he is in real life. That's how he lives his life, is what's the worst that can happen? Like go for it, shoot for the moon kind of thing. And I'm so grateful that he is that way because we wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation had he not just reached out, and just went for it.
Worst case scenario is the helicopter company's like, no, man, absolutely not. Like, hit pavement, get out of here. And I'm just like, okay, I guess that's just what happens. Best case scenario is like Abby said, we're here having this podcast and I've been able to have a very fulfilling career with the love of my life. Like, that was a dream. And I think approaching it that way is sort of how I've looked at things, is like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to say no, but what's the best that's going to happen? And if it's this, like, I'm going to take that risk every day.
Yeah, and you guys are such an amazing team creatively because your art is so different and your strengths are so different, and together, you come up with these like really, really incredible things. So Abby, I want to hear about you and your art and your alopecia awareness and all the work that you do. So can you, for the audience who doesn't follow you, can you give us kind of the highlight reel on how you got started with art, what kind of art you do, and kind of what you're into, and what you bring to that, using that as a creator?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I would say if we go all the way back, like to the beginning of my journey, I lost all of my hair to alopecia when I was 15 years old. So it was a crazy experience. That age in general is crazy. You're in high school. It's like the beginning of high school. And we found out it was alopecia. And like within 2 months, I was completely bald. And it rocked my world entirely. Like it was crazy.
I bet. Yeah.
But that kicked off my love for makeup because, hair for women is such a feminine identifier. It's such a marker of femininity, and it has been shown in media that way forever. And so losing that, I was just trying to find a way to connect to my femininity and to be like, hello, I'm a girl, I'm a woman, this is who I am. And so I started playing with makeup, and it kind of became an outlet for me where I was drawing on my eyebrows. I was, putting on eyeliner. I learned that a makeup artist was a real job, that you could actually work as a makeup artist. And so I found this makeup school in Vancouver, British Columbia. And I said, I'm just going to go for it. I worked 3 bartending jobs to save up for makeup school. And I went back to school at like 25 and kind of started over. And I was like, look, I'm going to pursue this as a real career. And I fell in love with it. And in 2018, when I met Wade, we met in Canada. I actually had long blonde hair. My hair had since grown back. Because alopecia, like the autoimmune disease, it's such a strange thing. Your hair can actually fall out and maybe it never grows back and you're bald forever. But it's so unpredictable. Sometimes it grows back in and that's it. You're done with alopecia. It never revisits you again.
Wow. I didn't know that. I did not know that.
Yeah. So my hair from 2006 is when I originally lost it to 2018. I always had bald patches. But the majority of my hair actually grew back. So I would just cover them up with little hair clip-in extensions. And
like
it was
when we
wild.
met, you had hair extensions.
Yeah.
But I would see like little bald patches. I'm like, oh, what's
Right.
that? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I have alopecia. I'd never heard of alopecia before.
Yeah. And it was so scary sharing that with a partner. I had never really shared it with anyone like that. It was like my little secret. Once it grew back, I was going to hide it from everyone, and it was just going to be a part of my past. And when I met Wade, he was like, awesome. That's super cool. Like, okay, alopecia, wild. And that's what it was. He always celebrated it with me, and it definitely changed my outlook on it too. So in 2018, after maybe we were together not even a year, my hair started to fall out again. So I had graduated from makeup school. I went on to work at New York Fashion Week. I was working on like photo shoots, everything. I was working New York Fashion Week, LA Fashion Week, the Emmy Awards. Like I had clients all over.
So you'd become like a baller makeup artist by then.
Yeah.
You're extremely accomplished makeup artist, like sort of the top of that.
Baller.
I definitely, that was my dream, is like become the best artist that I can and become like master my technique, make the sharpest wing eyeliner, like master the art of makeup. And I feel like I was living that, I was doing that. And I went to New York Fashion Week in the fall of that year, and my hair was just falling out like crazy again. And I knew it was coming back, and I was like, oh, here we go. And sure enough, in a couple of weeks later, like I was left with truly like strands of hair. Was hiding them under hats and anything. And Wade was the one who was like, screw it, let's shave it off. Like, what are we doing here? Like, just embrace it. Just go for it. You will look awesome bald. Like, just go for it. And so one night we put on Britney Spears and took a shot and just like shaved it off. It was crazy. And it was awesome because it was so like dramatically different than the first time I had lost it at 15. Totally different experience. We were celebrating it. It was like, whoa, this is a whole new era of me with alopecia. And that's really when I started sharing online about alopecia and this experience and how wild it was. And then I had this bald head. So I went from this canvas to this canvas. And now I had my whole head to paint. And I started in probably the early 2019, really embracing that and starting to paint the designs up onto my bald head. And I would do these crazy transitions and spread awareness for alopecia using like the art as entertainment first, but then talking about my message, which is to embrace what makes you different. So it's really, really hard for, anyone not in that circumstance to feel it. But it really just became so clear to me then that like, this is our superpower. Like whatever disrupts you, whatever is hard, whatever's challenging, whatever makes you different, like that is your superpower. So I started just becoming very vocal about it through my work and in sharing the message about alopecia also.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. And I love thinking about like the two times it really happened when you went completely bald, and it was like a celebration the second time around. So like, I want to hear about Renegade Creative, but in terms of your career as a makeup artist, are you like, tell us a little bit more about, using your entire head as the canvas and that whole art and the transformations that you've done. And like, I want to hear about the response from people in general. And then I would imagine other people with alopecia have probably reached out to you and like been really touched by your art as well. What's that been like?
Now, like, you know, that journey as from makeup artist to then creator to now leader and facilitator. I'm hosting workshops for young girls who have lost their hair all the time. I'll fly if a mom reaches out to me and says, hey, I'm in Wyoming. We'll go out to Wyoming and we'll go meet her and I'll paint her face.
Wow.
And,
that's so awesome. Because I mean, I can't, like you said in the beginning, like 15 years old, pretty much the worst timing for some kind of change like that to rock you when you're already dealing with insecurities, like everyone in that age. Like that's just such a hard age. And then I can't imagine kids going through that, like how hard it is when they're young. So that's awesome that you're connecting with them.
It is transformative. Like, I don't know, I would have been a totally different, way more confident person earlier on had I had someone like that for myself.
Yeah. Well, congrats on all that work. It's really, really important work that you're doing. And that's just awesome. Love that. So let's talk about the creative stuff. We've done a number of projects with you guys. I forget the first one, if it was Dad Ventures with Travel Nevada, where you went on the road trip with your pops, or I know we flew you up to Alaska and shot with you for the Cold versus Gold Challenge with Columbia. And I know we've done stuff with you guys with Travel Nevada out on those lonely roads and the crazy sort of remote road trips as sort of a couple. But what is, you know, you guys have a creative agency now, it sounds like. How are you balancing or where is your focus? Is it, you know, building accounts for your different channels on social? Is it actually becoming a full-on creative agency with Renegade? Tell me a little bit about, you know, sort of your journey as creators, and then what this new chapter is in your new spot and the agency you guys have formed.
We're kind of weaving through that right now. You know, the Renegade brand came about really from a project a few years ago where the brand said, hey, we loved working with you and Abby as creators, but we see there could be something bigger here. If we gave you that opportunity and you pulled on a bigger team, give us an idea of what that could look like. And so it was exciting for us to say, oh, this goes beyond, the mission is now beyond just me or Abby. The mission is to like get other people excited to get outside. It was the GoPro mountain games, and we still work with them very deeply. And it was an exciting moment because they were like, hey, we love this idea of you and Abby coming out here, but instead of doing a broadcast, which they used to do, like a TV broadcast, if we decided to move some things around and not do a TV broadcast, give us an idea of how we could reach more people. And that was sort of got our wheels turning of like, ooh, we can get really creative with pulling in other people to this. And that was the first time that really Renegade was hatched, of saying, all right, what can we come up with that does kind of hit on this bigger mission that I can't just do with my own channels. I can't just do myself. I have a creative brain that I can build something bigger. Let's do that. And that was Renegade maybe 3 years ago at the GoPro Mountain Games. And now that's turned into like a full activation that we do every year where we put on a stage at the Mountain Games. It's kind of become the creative hub of the GoPro Mountain Games. And that was an exciting moment for us to say, oh, there is something here that I think it's kind of that creative angle that we see missing, and I think in a lot of the brand storytelling.
So GoPro was the brand that gave you that opportunity, and that all ended up to be kind of like a long-term partnership that's ongoing still today.
Yeah, so it's a collaboration with the Mountain Games and GoPro. It's sort of this event that gets put on. It's like the X Games for mountain sports. So is this idea of like, let's create a space for people to create things that are creative and interesting, more experiential, and then let's build really cool content around that. And that was the whole idea that was conceived of. It's called the collab stage, of a true stage for real collaboration to happen.
You two are honestly like two of the most creative people I know. And I think like this show is really geared towards creators, you know, to creators, by creators, or by creators for creators. But so there's a lot of advice to creators on this show from creators, but I would love to get your take, especially since you've been on this like sort of agency, creative agency side of the table for brands. So what is your advice to brands who don't want to do run of the mill crap campaigns? They want to be creative. They want to get their whole team behind stuff that's creative. They want to get budgets approved for big ideas. Like, how do you approach that? And what is the kind of creative process you would suggest for brands to really do stuff that is not just stuff that's already been done 1,000 times?
Yeah.
I know Wade will have so much to say about this, but connecting to my perspective, coming from my perspective, it's always tapping into purpose and meaning. Like, what is it for? If you're selling a product, why? Why should anyone care about it? Like, we're in such a saturated time of across all things right now, all verticals, like whether it's media, whether it's like selling a product or just marketing, like there's so much saturation in all spaces that I think to really stand out, like tapping into your why and your purpose and like, why are you making it? Why are you selling it? And why should people care? Then connecting that purpose to great storytelling. Like, I think that's everything, because you could have a really strong purpose, but if you're not telling it, if you're not speaking it loud enough, then people won't hear it. They won't have a chance to care. So that's my perspective on it. And I think you can infuse good creative into anything that has that purpose. That's what I look for first. And Wade is definitely the creative genius when it comes to marketing, since he has an advertising background. And, he's worked at agencies over the years. And now as a creative director, that's the lens he's always looking through. So I'll let him talk more on that.
That's good advice, though. I like that. Start with purpose, then move into storytelling once you've nailed the purpose. Cool.
Yeah. And for
what do you
me,
think, Wade?
Yeah, that's such a big question, man, because and it's a great question, right? Because so often brands are always pushing back. They tend to play it safe a lot more often. They tend to go with the lanes that they've seen having success in the past. And so they stick to that. I think the key to understand this for brands is how radically things shift up now compared to even a few years ago. And because we're playing in such a different landscape and sandbox than like 6 months ago, a year ago, 5 years ago was like ancient, right? I think brands have to be willing to fail quickly and be okay. And obviously you can't, like, the brand can't fail and go out of business, but like take small little risks. Just try something different and see what happens. Because I think in those moments of like failing quickly, and if it's failing, meaning like, oh, that campaign didn't do as well as we thought it would. Like, okay, great. We'll like tweak, move on to the next. Because I think the brands that do really, really well are the ones that, number one, believe and listen to the creative, the creators, the creative team. Like it's the creative team is the ones that are hitting these home runs, that are the ones that are taking a brand from not relevant to completely relevancy throughout pop culture. Those are the people that are the ones that are like, let's look at it over here. And I think brands have to be willing to even just take small risks to say, okay, we'll be hitting singles maybe if we keep doing this the same way, but those singles will probably turn to strikeouts in a couple of years because the sandbox is going to be even different. So being able to just look a little bit over this way and say, okay, let's just try this. Let's see what happens. It's the same idea of like, let's jump on this helicopter. Let's see what happens. It might be like nothing, but I doubt it's going to be a single. It's either going to be a home run or a strikeout. And I think brands have to look at it like that in today's age of like, how can we, if it's been done this way for so long, how can we pivot just like a 3% change to give us the opportunity to really cut through that noise? And I think creative people, brands, I'm speaking to you, like listen and at least trust some of these creative people that are talking to you, because those are the people that might have these perspectives that they're unlocking something different for you. And time again, it is that approach that I've seen, at least. It's not always going to like be an absolute home run, but if you're doing that kind of exercise over and over again, something's going to pop through, and it might take a year, it might take 5 years, and the ability to kind of go for the long run while doing that exercise, I think is where you see the brands totally excel.
Yeah, it's also good advice. I like that. And I really think that, as I say in the intro of this podcast, I think most or all global ad spend will transition to creators first over the next, 10 to 15 years. And it seems like there should be a platform where creators can bring proactive ideas to brands, because we all as consumers see what most people are trying to accomplish with their brand. And I find that sometimes it's the creators themselves or a small creative team during a brainstorm that comes up with the idea that ends up being the center of a million or multi-million dollar campaign. So
Totally.
I really think that there's too much already baked when it comes to creative by the time the person who's going to deliver it, you, the creator, gets to it. It's like, oh, you just read the cue cards or just do the, say the thing or do this thing the way you want. There's not enough of an opportunity for the creators to be like, I see where you're going with that, but I would do it a little bit differently and try this. And I think those are some of the best ideas that come out of it. So, we're always trying to move up the sort of creative chain of command to really, and doing a lot of some of our most successful and our biggest dollar programs are completely proactive, where we say like, look, we know your brand really well. What if you did this? And those are some of the ones increasingly that are landing, and they turn into really big programs and really successful ones. So yeah, I think the brands have a lot to do. A lot of evolution to do, again, to your point, to keep up with the pace of change that's now kind of the norm.
Yeah. And the bigger they are, the harder that is too. It's interesting to see like on both, because we see both sides of it. Like we're hiring creators and we are creators ourselves. So we see both sides of it. And like we've worked with some of our larger partners. Sometimes the creative that gets developed, it takes so long on their end to pass through to go across all the tables of approvals. By the time they sign off on anything, it's done. You've missed the window, the moment in time where something was relevant and had the potential to be a really great thing. And then, we've had that happen many times on the creator side of it. And actually, several years ago when we started getting calls from agencies that were initially hiring us as creators, they started asking to license creative ideas because they wanted those ideas to move faster and to be relevant quickly. So yeah, it's wild.
And I will say to brands, less cooks in the kitchen. We do not need 15 cooks to create an amazing steak. Like, that's not how this is going to work. If you do that, it's just going to muddle it and it becomes something totally different and not as appetizing as it could have been if you had a couple people who were really dedicated and honing in on the special sauce of what this could be. That's where I see ideas and concepts go to the graveyard, is when you have just so many people holding on for dear life to turn it into this and Frankenstein it like this, and you're like, what even is this now? After we had this,
it ends up being the everything to everyone scenario, which is like no meaning to anyone, totally watered down.
100%. Look at like a Liquid Death, right? Like the founder of Liquid Death came from the advertising world. Like, he totally gets creative. He totally gets how to cut through that noise. But he and probably like a couple people were really helping develop the identity and the feel for Liquid Death. Like, it came from him. It wasn't like, let's get this huge ad team on here and then have 20 people on this of what is the feel, who's it going to touch. It's like, no, man, this is how it's going to go. It's going to be bold. I love this idea. Let's run with it. And they were quick to run with it. And now look at them, right? I think you have to approach it with like less hands-on for so many people and more intentional dedication by fewer people.
Yeah, I love that. Awesome. Well, let's wrap there. Congrats on the move, you guys. Congrats on Renegade Creative and the evolution of your careers. We really hope to work with you more at Matador, and I can't wait to see what you guys are out doing for other brands. So thanks for coming on the pod, and come back in a year or two and let us know how it's going.
Man, thank you, number one, for always believing in the wacky weirdness of who Abby and I are and pulling us into the Matador universe, because you guys have been nothing but amazing. Every project we work with you guys is awesome. Stoked for more of that. And who knows, man, have a Matador little retreat out at the Renegade Ranch. You guys are welcome to come out anytime you want, man.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks Ross.
Creator the podcast is produced by Matador Network. We are a leading global travel publisher focused on travel and adventure. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe. Every week, I interview a new top creator. New episodes are released every Tuesday on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and everywhere podcasts are found. Thanks for listening.